Hey gang, what's up? It's another week. It's been actually 2 weeks since I did a video. Um, I don't want to say they're getting fewer and further between, but I sort of kind of have been needing more of a break since the store basically is now in the green phase in this county. I guess we're sort of fortunate there because even though I still see a lot of people out there without masks, sort of walking around and stuff, I think mostly the county here did a pretty good job comparatively to what it could have been. So I feel for you if you're in a part of the country that things are not going well. Um, what can I say? I don't want to get involved in that. So I do want to say though that we sort of have increased the number of people allowed in at any given time to seven. I still would like people to kind of hold their shopping time to about 20 minutes just to keep the exposure time down. Plus, if we have seven people in at a time, there might be person eight, nine, and 10 waiting outside the door, and they might want to be trying to come in. And it creates a little bit of an uncomfortable thing if people have to wait around for that. So, plus, we don't want to breathe bad germs. We don't even know what the bad germs are or who has them for most part. So, um, please just keep being mindful with the masks. As I keep telling people, if I respect you enough to wear the masks so whatever I have doesn't transfer to you and your loved ones, I would hope you would do the same for me just out of respect and courtesy. And I don't know why it has to be such a big deal, honestly. I mean, there are so many more important things in this world to get upset about. So, all right. Enough of that. I just really wanted to say that, like, the store is sort of running. Check the hours because they've changed a little bit again. We are closed Mondays now. We are open Sundays again. But our hours are a little more limited than they used to be, partially because we were a little bit slower through certain times of the day, and also partially because I tend to be the one that is on staff most of the time. And if you get a chain of people coming in and out over the course of the day, it's difficult to get a break, difficult to eat your lunch, difficult to use the restroom, and difficult to breathe because you've been wearing a mask for 6 or 7 hours, right? Um, my kudos out there to hospital workers and such who wear those things constantly because it's difficult wearing that for long periods of time. So, anyway, that being said, I wanted to get to some of the new things that are out in the store now so you can kind of get a sense. There have been a lot of things sort of released in the last couple months. I put these pictures up on Facebook sometimes. I think that they sort of get lost or missed because people are being inundated with things. So I'm just going to point on the wall behind me first. There's right up here. There's the new 10th anniversary of the Nationals High Violet on vinyl, which has a third record of some of the bonus tracks, and it's on a pretty swirly vinyl. Apparently, one of the things that came out while the pandemic was going on was the B-52's Cosmic Thing. Nothing special about the vinyl itself, but it's nice to have that back in print if you want your Love Shack or Rome or whatever. Up here, David Bowie, they just did a picture disc of Space Oddity, which has a poster in there that's pretty cool. Beatles obviously is older. Rush, the Permanent Waves box set, that's kind of a massive undertaking. There's like live show in there, and you can get that as a 2 CD set too. But that's the big one with the vinyl in it. And then there were three Prince live records reissues, and if you've been paying attention this week, you probably saw that there's going to be a Sign of the Times deluxe edition coming out in September 25th. If you want the big box, let me know soon. The big box is 13 records, $300. Not cheap, The one he did last fall, or they did for 1999, was I think 10 or 11 records, maybe 11, and that was around 270 or 280 for vinyl. So that was not cheap either. Um, at that time, they put out the little CD box, 5 or 6 discs, I think 5 CDs and a DVD. That was selling at the time for about $70. It's online now, up around 150 or so because it's already gone out of print. And the box on CD for Sign of the Times is more like 150, 160 bucks. Mainly because that's going to have a nice book included, and apparently it's an extensive book with lots of interviews with people like Lenny Kravitz and such. So, hey, that's something to look forward to. The funny thing about that is it's September 25th. If you've been keeping track of the Record Store Day drop dates, we now have 3 of them, right? And the second one is September 26th, so you can kind of see that they sort of planned that around one of the Record Store Day drops. The first one, remember, is August 29th. Then you have September 26th and October 24th. The lists are on the Record Store Day website. I would go familiarize myself with them right away if you're going to plan any kind of a visit. I'm still leaning towards doing an exclusively curbside situation. And the reason for that is I'm watching everything that's going on in the South right now in the Sun Belt, thinking, oh my God, what happens if that creeps back up here? Like they're already sort of worried about, certain areas around the urban areas here. And frankly, I just would rather have a plan in place and stick to it than have to constantly scramble and change my plans. So this is something that we're going to have to kind of keep an eye on, but I just want you to sort of be aware, all right? So keep watching my videos and keep looking at our Facebook and any updates that we put, Instagram and whatever. All right, so as far as some new releases, keep going here. We've got the new Rolling Stones, Living in a Ghost Town. It's their new single. It's on orange vinyl. I think it's just the one song, but it is actually a really great song. And ironic that it came out during pandemic Ghost Town period. The other thing that's sort of Rolling Stones related, and I need like a truck. So these are, there was a box set that came out a year or two ago that had stereo half-speed mastered at Abbey Road versions of all of their albums from Sticky Fingers up to the present. They reissued those this week, excluding Goat's Head Soup, because apparently they're doing a 50th anniversary edition of that soon. So we have, Black and Blue. It's Only Rock and Roll. Steel Wheels. Pretty good 80s record. Tattoo You, one of my personal favorites of theirs. Bridges to Babylon, great 90s record. Another great 90s. Voodoo Lounge. And A Bigger Bang, which was their most recent record. Also, I don't have in my hands right now because we've already sold out of Sticky Fingers, Some Girls, and Exile on Main Street. Those all went very quickly. However, they're all on order, and hopefully within the next couple of weeks they'll be back in stock. But that's why I tell people you got to get your pre-orders in if you want this stuff, because they will go fast. Half-speed mastering sort of means like they're playing back the tape at slower speeds to get more of the nuances out of the original tape. So it's supposed to sound incredible. That's just what I'm going to say. I've personally bought a few half-speed mastered things. There was a Peter Gabriel, I think a couple. His actually, some of them were run back at 45 and then others at 33. I bought the 33s and I thought they sounded great. I think Japan, the band Japan, there's been a few, interesting sort of half-speed mastered stuff that really it really does usually sound a lot better, to my opinion. Okay, so going on with the reissue, we have Riding with the King, the Eric Clapton BB King album. This was out of print for a while, and this is the it's a special two record set on limited blue vinyl, and it's got two bonus tracks, Rollin' and Tumblin' and Let Me Love You Baby. So if you were a fan of that record, now's the time. Also, blues wise, there was a Joe Louis Walker that came out on limited edition white vinyl. It's got Keb Mo, Eric Gales, Jorma Kaukonen, I never say that name right, Mitch Ryder, Waddy Wachtel. Also, blues wise, there's the new Victor Wainwright, which he's a pretty cool dude. It's the follow up to the 2019 album, Victor Wainwright and the Train. It's a Grammy nominated record. Thundercats new one. It Is What It Is. This is also the cream vinyl edition. Great bass player. It's kind of a modern sort of urban sounding jazz-ish record. King Gizzard and Lizard Wizard, you've seen this already. This is their new live record. It's called Chunky Shrapnel. Great cover art. So, and also in the sort of metal zone, you get the new Lamb of God. Guy's been around forever. There are definitely Lamb of God fans out there. This is very cool. Sonic Boom. He was the one of the members of Spacemen 3. He's produced records for like MGMT, the second one that everybody was completely dumbfounded by, that had the little cat surfing on the waves. Anyway, it's a solo record. If you like Flaming Lips, it's very much kind of in that style. There's it's a very kind of woozy, synthy psychedelia sort of situation. There's some narration and Red Cross, this reissue of an early record of theirs that just came out. On a completely different tip, not another goat rodeo, or not our first goat rodeo, excuse me. Yo-Yo Ma, Edgar Meyer, Chris Teal, and Stuart Duncan. So if you like Appalachian and like Yo-Yo Ma's the classical master, right? But this is like what they did, Appalachian Journey. They've been done a couple of them, but it's been a while. The new Norah Jones record, which is really great. It's Pick Me Up From the Floor. So there's that. There's some things here that I skipped from a while ago or just mentioned. A Cocteau Twins reissue of Victoria Land. Highly recommend this if you are a Cocteau Twins or like a dream pop fan. I mean, this is like their most soothing record. Came out between the Treasure and Bluebell Knoll period on 4AD. Amazing cover art as usual, and it's nice to see that back on vinyl. Warren Zevon's Life Will Kill Ya. I won't read you the title for track 9 because it's not child friendly. And the last song's called Don't Let Us Get Sick. This was sort of like one of Warren's great final records. Built to Spill doing Daniel Johnston. Not a huge Daniel Johnston fan. Some people love him, but Built to Spill haven't had a record in like 6 years, and here they come back with a tribute to Daniel. So that's kind of interesting. I'm skipping around with genres. 1975. I know, these guys get kind of a bad rap. I thought their last record was actually pretty decent, but I haven't heard this one yet. It's called Notes on a Confidential Form. It's a 2-record set, and this bag is recycled and recyclable. It's on transparent vinyl, and it may be of interest to know that there are 22 songs on this record, so I don't know if they're all full songs. They usually have some experimental kind of interludes thrown in. I was really impressed with this record. This is the new Hime, which these girls have always been great. This is their 3rd album now, and I think this might be their best, and that's saying something. It definitely takes more of sort of liberties with like experimentation, but you get the feeling of the whole Laurel Canyon kind of vibe. There's some definite Joni Mitchell, some definite like Sheryl Crow vibe, but in the best possible way. And inventive production from Rostrum, who I think, he was in Vampire Weekend, and there's a lot of that kind of. If you like the last Vampire Weekend album, it's kind of like that, but a little more 70s vibe, I guess. I don't know. New Nicole Atkins, which you might not know much about her, but Italian Ice, I think that this is probably her best record, too. Singer-songwriter, but really great original songs. This is just another massive, and the women are bringing it, I'm telling you. Phoebe Bridgers' new record, Punisher. It's really one of the best records of the year so far, up there with the Fiona Apple, and I was just blown away by that. I do not know how to say this name. Krangbin. I keep trying to struggle with that. This is a very cool, like, if you like 70s sort of like art film soundtrack kind of stuff, this is very like laid back, mellow, slightly kind of like jazz, smooth jazz, a little bit of disco. Not a lot of vocals, but they're sort of understated, but it's a really great record. Sort of wrapping things up here, the new Mac Miller Circles, which this album finally came out on vinyl like a few weeks ago, but was originally streaming, I guess, back in January. But it's his last effort that was sort of completed by his producer, John Bryan, who you might remember from working with Amy Mann and Fiona Apple. Looking forward to the Fiona record, July 17th, same day as the new Bob Dylan on vinyl. So, and there are limited indie versions of those. So if you want those versions, you better start letting people like me know. The new Ray LaMontagne, Monovision. It's sort of a stripped back record and kind of more back to basics for him, which is cool. And the last one in my pile here, and look, there's plenty more. I just don't want to like waste your time with everything that's sitting around the store. But the new Neil Young, Homegrown. This record came out last week, but it was written and recorded 45 years ago in 1975. Features guest appearances from Emmylou Harris and members of the band, Robbie Robertson, Levon Helm. It's not really a country record, but it has that kind of vibe. Well, it's probably worth it just to hear Florida because it's a strange song. It's not really a song, it's more like a David Lynch nightmare of like a minute and a half. But there's some really great, catchy stuff on here, some songs that ended up on other records. Most of it is kind of like mellow and sort of like, I don't know, the more kind of like sad mid 70s Neil. So, but it's great stuff. It's amazing that could sit on a shelf for so long. But I had a discussion with somebody this morning who said, "Oh, I don't know if Prince would have wanted to have all that stuff released in those box sets." And it's like, if he would have wanted to have it released, he would have done it. It's like, yeah, well, he died at 58, and Neil Young just released a record that's 45 years old, but he's 70, 73, 74, something like that. I mean, sorry, Neil, if you're 72, but he's had more of a right to get, or an ability to get that done because he's lived a lot longer, so we don't really know, although, I don't think Prince would have kept those tapes if he had wanted to never have them heard, so that's just my opinion. Anyway, what do I know? So I hope that was enough of a little update for you. There's a bunch of stuff coming. Next week is the 4th of July. Willie Nelson, Sparks, Paul Weller, and Black Sabbath's The End on vinyl. That final concert of theirs. Anyway, we'll be closed on 4th of July, which is a Saturday, and we will probably be closed all weekend because Sunday... I don't anticipate to have been a busy day, really, during that kind of weekend, and then we're closed Mondays. So just what we want to be right when we're trying to open again is have a 3-day weekend. God, 2020. Anyway, you all be well and safe. Don't do anything crazy. Please keep wearing your masks. I know that there are people out there that are saying, I don't wanna, I don't wanna. Come on, be an adult. Man up. If not for yourself, for your fellow human. All right? And at least for right now, until we can get this thing under control, because apparently our country has a little problem with this. So thank you very much, and stay safe. I'll see you next time.